welcome, welcome. Sorry for the delay. Once again, trying to work the kinks out, but we're getting it. We have our guests tonight. I'm about to bring them on, Jerome and Tiffany Malone, friends of ours that have been friends of ours for quite some time. So we're going to bring them, add them onto the call as we wait for you all to join us. Go get them. Jerome and Tiff.
Hello, hello.
Hey, hey.
Hello, hello, hello.
Are
Are
we
you
on?
there?
Are we on?
Listen, we're gonna know in a minute. If you are, y'all know I'm challenged. I'm a little. It's 8:37. It's much better than last week. We came on a little bit later last week because we were trying to figure things out. And just in the, I'm telling you, boy, that the trick of the devil. So we want to give people a couple of minutes to join us, right? We're excited. Are y'all excited about tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Looking forward to the conversation.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're speaking of kids, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, these guys, not only they talented, you know about your powerful couples like Peaches and Herb, you know what I'm saying? I hate to use Peaches and I hate to use
Y'all a
Tina.
little older than us, so we don't know who y'all talking about.
You know who exactly that is, you know what I'm saying? Because y'all stole some of their music, so don't lie and say you don't know who they are. But this is a powerful couple. They've been on drugs all of their lives.
Drugs.
Let me point out what that means. They've been drugged. They've been drugged to Sunday school. They've been drugged to church. They've been drugged to Wednesday night Bible study.
Yeah.
So I know there's some of y'all out there like, okay, I knew there was something about Tiffany and Jerome. You know what I'm saying?
You right about that now.
Yeah.
That's right about. That you right about.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give it a couple more seconds. So listen, did y'all see the show last week?
We
like
did.
2 weeks. Did you like it?
We did.
I should have asked you this off camera, huh?
You did ask me off camera.
Like
It was you were
like
doing amazing ministry, and that's real talk. It's refreshing to see people, get the word, hear God say move, and then move, and it doesn't have to be all perfect at first. I was just reading somebody's post today that was saying, you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be perfect at first, and so there's something admirable about that, about people who just move. So I'm proud of you.
thank you. I appreciate that because we want the little mics and stuff, the boom mic and all. I went to school for mass comm at Cookman, right? And so the whole radio thing, I still want to live that dream out. So, we don't have the setup like how we really, really want it. But to me, we can still get this message across right now.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that all right?
All right.
Yeah, and I think it's much needed too. So when I look around at couples, and especially doing ministry, and you experience marriage, and I think it's time that we have some good conversation about it.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
see what's
I
what.
do. Because it's a lot of I've been noticing that a lot of people, they're separating, they're divorcing, and it's like this new age thing. Like before, we used to be kind of like fearful and scared of that, but now it's just out there a lot. You're seeing it more often than not, and it's like, what is going on? What do y'all think about that? What, you have any thoughts on that?
I was telling Jerome this morning that the older I get, the more that when I see things, I find myself realizing the lesson is like, but for the grace of God, there go I. It's not really how did they, I don't feel that way anymore because I've lived long enough to know, you know what I'm saying? It's difficult. Life is difficult. Life is difficult when you're trying to maneuver it. It's very difficult. it is the grace of God, I think, that has sustained us in so many ways. And it is heartbreaking when your good friends or people you know and love, and you see them going through the pain of divorce, because it's like a grief. That's what I hear. It's a death. It's like a grief. And so you grieve with people when they go through those kinds of things. But I'm humble enough to realize that some of it's not happening a lot because it can't happen. And so I'm thankful, for what God has done in us, but I'm very careful. I'm very careful. And I grieve with people when they're going through that, and we offer, what we can to minister to them. But it's tough to be married. It's tough to stay married. It goes beyond what you feel like some days. You just literally, there are some times that are great and amazing, and then there are some times where this is what I told God I was going to do. I opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I went back, and that's just a reality. And people think that's, you can frown on that or whatever, but when you get past that some ways, you look back and you see the wisdom of that. God does something in those times when you just stay true, to the covenant you made. It's a beautiful thing what God works out when you look back on it. And so it's rough out. It's just rough out here. My heart breaks for people that are going through that.
And I think it's understanding what marriage is. I think a lot of people get into marriage and they don't understand what it is. What are we trying to do? What is it about? And so they have a perspective, and when it doesn't match up to their expectations of the perspective that they had when they entered in, they're like, okay, so how do I get out of this? Because they don't understand, what are we supposed to be doing? Is there an exit? If things don't go the way I want it to go, or if I learn that once I loved her so much at first, but now after a while,
she getting on my nerves.
Yeah. So what does that look like? And so what have we signed up for? I think is the question.
Yeah.
Is this the worst? Is this the for worst we said?
Yeah. That part. All right. So I think. Look, that wasn't even the question. No, look.
No, it wasn't a question,
but that was good.
But it brings up other stuff too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of example are we setting for those that are not married? I listened to some commentary during the week, what have you, and the person, I don't want to call names out or what have you, but he was stating the fact, some of the examples that you see on TV and some of the examples that you see. Even in the church parking lot, I'm saying, you hear some people talking or whatever, some of the, and he was just stating the fact that, I'm saying, if I were single and if I were listening to some of the conversations that I'm hearing, I would dare not get married, I'm saying, for the most part. So what kind of example are we setting for those that are not married, as opposed to staying married for 24, 25 years, so can y'all talk to that?
I think it depends on who we is, right? And that's when you get, the variation that you're talking about. But for some of us, if all you have to look to are, earthly examples, it's a mixed bag, right? You don't know what you're gonna get. We both come from 2-parent households. His parents were married until his mom passed. My parents are still married to this day. That's what we saw. Doesn't mean that everything you saw in that is A-okay and perfect and all the things, because it's not. It wasn't. It's not. So I think for me, and we were just talking about this probably 2 days ago, but it's about being grounded in God. Like when you're grounded in God, he governs every other area of your life. He governs your want to and and I don't feel like it, right? Because when you're not grounded in something deeper than how you feel, your feelings just yank you all over the place all the time. You know, you don't know what's going to happen when you walk out the door. You don't know what kind of phone call you're going to get. You don't know.
Right.
We don't know anything. But when you have to be grounded in something deeper than how you feel, or even to your question, what you've seen. What you've seen, the models you've seen may not be worth emulating.
Right.
They may not be applicable to you. The people in them have a completely different story, completely different context. The way they show up in the world has a lot to do with where they came from and all the things that make them them. And none of it may apply to you. So for me, Jerome can, speak to his own, but I'm grounded in something deeper that has to govern me beyond what I feel like that day, what I feel like saying, what I feel like doing. And that doesn't mean I fail sometimes, but at the end of the day, something deeper grounds me. God is who I'm going to have to answer to. And I live out my marriage. I live out my parenting. I live everything else out of that. And I think that's really one of the only ways, you make it.
So you're asking how, ask the question again. I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
Did I ask the question? I forgot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What I asked. I mean, I was so into how Tiffany responded, and you hitting on all cylinders as far as that's concerned. People can make it without, having a foundation in God, as far as you have to have fear in God. I mean, this is a covenant. You not only agree to your spouse or whatever, but you make a covenant agreement with him.
Right.
And he dictates everything we do, you know what I'm saying? So and things happen, things change. I got parents been married for 52 years, and I can personally tell you what hasn't always been pretty, but they're still together. I mean, their parents, they were godly parents, they come from a spiritual background or what have you. And so, mother had me young, spent a lot of time with my grandparents, for the most part, what have you. But I've seen some good and some bad, but the good outweighed the bad, through it all.
So Jerome, to answer your question, like basically what Tiff was talking about is, I believe, Tiff, correct me if I'm wrong, where she is now, what we're seeing, because Fred had asked how failing these people, right? The question I was about to go back to is, who taught you what you know about marriage, right? Because we see on TV, we grew up on the Cosbys, and we grew up on watching Family Matters and all these things, right? And so we have these ideas of what we think marriage is supposed to be, or family is supposed to be, right? And so we get these ideas, and then these things are learned, and then we come into our realization, and we're trying to do what we saw on TV. So just the question I have for you is, who taught you what you know about marriage, relationships, right? Tiff asked it like for the now, with God, she pulled that in really great. But before you got to that point, where did you get it from? Who taught you?
I think most all of us try to repeat what we saw growing up a lot of times, or we try to reject what we saw growing up, depending on what we saw. So I think our upbringing plays a huge part in how we see marriage, what we expect marriage to be. And I know for me, just growing up watching my grandparents on both sides, family was really, really important. My mom and dad and being in the home with my brothers and sisters, family was instilled in us. And just the good times that we had, and my perspective growing up as the youngest of the family, I just really remember growing up in a family where I saw a lot of love. I saw my mom and dad in good relationships. And I think what's important, though, a lot of times when you're growing up, you are looking at life from a kid perspective, right? And so I'm also not taking into consideration that my dad and mom there's 5 siblings, 5 of us, 5 children. I'm the youngest. So by the time they get to me,
They got it down.
they've learned a lot, they've mellowed out a lot, and I'm not taking those things into consideration. I'm not taking into consideration just where they are in their life and their time, their context. And so what happens is when I get married, a lot of times I try to what I was trying to do, and I think a lot of times what we try to do is recreate what we saw as success growing up. But their success was not our success.
Correct.
And so the first years is me and I believe her coming to the conclusion that, hey, what I saw and what I understood is not for us, not everything. There are some good things. There are some things that don't fit in our context.
That's right.
And so I think that's the importance of having that relationship with God, and also coming to the conclusion that you don't know what you think you know. That's what I learned. I didn't know at first, but I thought I knew. And so, and all I knew was the examples that were around me. So that's what I did. And there were times that it caused a lot of headache and heartache for us. And so there are some things I had to learn. I'll let you chime in if you want to chime in on that.
No, I think that's right. I mean, and you said it. It's either, and I don't know if these are the only 2 options, but sometimes you idolize what you saw, right? So you try to repeat that. Or sometimes you're like, what we're not going to do is that. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes in your attempts to like run from it, you end up recreating it. You don't realize it, or you run too far. And you kind of run yourself in a circle almost. It's like trying to run forward, looking backward. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? And so it's, I think our early examples right there, they are a part of, at least in the earlier parts of our lives, and probably some to this day, our identity.
Right.
You're like living out who you think you are, because what you saw is who you were trained and nurtured to kind of become. So, if you grew up in a 2-parent home like I did, I can't speak to anybody else's experience, but my mom was like the grown version of me in a sense. When I was growing up, that was how I saw it. This is what when women look like this, they do this, they go to work here, they do this, they do that. And so a lot of your, and if that's good, that's kind of what you kind of try to pattern yourself until you don't know anything else. And the process of life and marriage, especially when God is involved, is him like pulling back where you started and saying, no, this is who you really are. This is who you really are. And this is who you really are. And we're 23, 24 years in, and I'm still figuring out, no, this is who you really are.
And who we are.
It's like a process, and if you don't let it happen like God wants it to happen, it causes more problems than if you let him pull back some of that false identity and some of that ego and all that other stuff, and let him do his work in you. And he's doing his work in him, and he's doing it in me. And it's like, okay.
And y'all talked about it last week, with leave and cleave, right? You really have to leave your whole idea of what you think marriage is and relationships is. Growing up in our household, my dad he worked. My mom stayed at home, took care of us. She was the in my mind, this is the picture perfect of a perfect woman, a perfect wife, right? She would do things like fix my dad's food in the kitchen and put it on a tray and bring it to his room and set it down for him after working all day, right?
The
So
only room in the house with air conditioning.
yeah, the whole house burned down. They had an air conditioner. So that's how I was raised. So I mean, can you imagine me getting married and having those same expectations from Tiffany Malone? You know what I'm saying? Hey Tiffany, I need you to bring my can you bring my and serve me every day, you know. But we had a different context. And so it's hard to
I will bring his food on the tray.
she will, but you know,
Yeah, this is a
but
dispensation.
y'all don't understand what I'm saying. I'm
it.
talking about on the silver tray, you know.
Wow, wow.
But
Porcelain plates.
but to let go of your
Mhm.
the first few years is letting go of who, because that's your identity too, you know. I'm looking forward to these things because this is what marriage is, right?
Mhm.
So what happens when your idea and your thoughts of this is what marriage is, this is what a good wife is, this is what a good husband is supposed to do, a good father is supposed to do, and you find out that what you had in mind is not the blueprint necessarily that God put in place
Yeah.
in every single way, the end all be all, you know. And
Come on.
I think that's where a lot of marriages don't make it through because these are my expectations. I said I do to my expectations,
Come on.
you know. And so now that my expectations aren't being met, um, I'm looking elsewhere for somebody that's going to meet my expectations. And like I said at the beginning, we have the wrong idea of what marriage is.
Right.
And so when we get into it and our expectations aren't met, a lot of times that is the problem. And I think everybody goes through it because there is, with leaving and cleaving, there is a part of me that has to die
Mm.
as we are being made into something new together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what it's powerful what he said about leaving and cleaving being more than like leaving your house. It's leaving your ideas, right? It's leaving the way you saw it growing up. And it's like, the whole idea of, letting God transform you. That comes into play in marriage too. And like if I was single now, I cannot imagine how difficult it is in the age of social media. We didn't have a lot of this stuff, 23 years ago. We had ideas, but you have people that are constantly talking all the time and telling you what you should be expecting. Like when I walked in the house today, my daughter was downstairs cooking something, listening to a podcast, and I was listening to the podcast she was listening to, thinking, he probably does not know anything he's talking about. This is probably not even a married person speaking from experience in a long-term, you know what I'm saying? But it sounds so good. And we have all these, these terms and stuff people are using. And I'm just like, you don't even know, like, you don't even, and it's not the pictures. It's not the wedding that we designed with the social media shots in mind. Like we had that in our mind when we decided on the wedding, and we had that in mind when we lay the whole thing out. And it's like, the icing on the cake is the day you post it, but it's like, that's not what it is. That's not what it is every day, day in and day out. We're building.
Sorry.
Building a life.
Right.
Not a photo.
I like when you said idolize. That's the key word, because that's what we do. We begin to idolize these thoughts of what we think that man is supposed to be or that woman is supposed to be, right? And so now we're losing sight of what is true about marriage and relationships, how God intended it from the beginning.
So, yeah, like what you just said, I believe there's something very spiritual about marriage that God does in the two people if you let him. That requires a humility in both of you. Because when you were just describing, that man is supposed to be this way, kind of like what you just said. But there are things in me that I have learned over the years that are Jerome and I are so different. Like so different.
Night and day.
No, and I'm serious, night and day. And if you're not careful, if you don't learn some humility, you will despise in the other person what is not like you. And really what you come to learn is that you need what is in the other person that is not like you. But you can't appreciate that or even receive it if you think you're already everything you already need to be. If the way that it needs to be is the way that I am, then I don't have any respect for the way he is. You know what I'm saying? I have very creative bones in my body. I have lots of analytical bones. Jerome is a ball of creativity, and he sees the world through that lens. You know what I'm saying? And so the way we would even tell a story is different. You sit down and talk to us, you get the same story. It's going to be two different stories. And if it's a good story, he's probably going to have me beat by a mile. But we're just different. That's just one example.
She's going to take 4 hours to tell.
Because you can't
one story with a bunch of pauses in between.
Yeah, I know the feeling, Jerome.
I'm detailed.
Yeah.
I'm very detailed.
I know the feeling.
Respect the context, right?
And so, if we're talking about intent, right? God's intent, just original intent. When you look at when God created man and brought man and woman together, right? And it talks about the woman being a help that's suitable or that's meet for him. The Greek word, when I studied it and really understood what it meant military aid on the opposite side, right? So Tiffany is my military aid on the opposite side, which means we are opposite each other, right? But what happens is she's able to see what I can't see, and sometimes I can see what she can't see. And we are different, we're opposites, but I need what she has because she has my back, and we're looking out for each other, we're working together. And so we are so different that we make up that difference. But the first years, I don't understand that. I just know that everything that she's doing is so different and so not what I would do that I would do it. And so what happens in marriage is a whole lot of friendly fire at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't understand that we're fighting together, so we're fighting each other, and differences make each other better. So, I think God brings us together for an assignment that he has on our life. And our spouses are, when we understand that and understand that their gift and their uniqueness is a superpower, they're fearfully and wonderfully made, and we are made to fit together, which means we're going to be different. And so I had to learn over years to appreciate it, and we had to learn how to make it work together, right? So, for example, she talked about how I'm really creative. I am the kind of person who, even if we're having a conversation, she's real analytical. So she's going to think every little thing through before she even speaks. I'm talking and thinking at the same time. So no, you never know what's going to come out, right? And so, but not only that, she sees the gaps and the holes in everything. She's built like that, right? And so, but for the first few years, I felt like she just didn't agree with everything that I wanted to do or support it, right? So I come and I say, hey, I got this great idea. and I got something in mind. I'm creative. I'm thinking, I think this is good. And she would tell me, well, that's not going to work because of this, and this. And I'd say, okay, well,
Or what are you going to do about this, and this?
Yeah, that or that. But she would be, but as is, it wasn't going to work. And she would be pointing that out to me. I felt unsupported, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm gonna give you another example so you can understand. So I recorded music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would be in the studio and I'd be mixing it because I can tell what it's gonna be at the end, and I want her to hear it, and I want her to appreciate it. I want her to say, "Hey, good job, Jerome." And so I would bring it in the car and let her listen to it. And the first thing I say was, "Hey, this is not mixed. It's not mastered. It's not mixed. So I just want you to see where it's going." And I put it in, and the first thing she would say is, "Well, hey, I don't hear the sopranos." And I'm like, "Hey," and she would say, I don't hear what you hear. But what I learned was when I got to the end of the project and I needed somebody to hear it when it's finished, I would let her hear it, and she would say, "Okay, you need to turn this up. You need to turn this down." And that was the perfect time to bring something to her just because of the way she's built and the way she thinks, right? And so I had to learn that it wasn't that she wasn't support. She was trying to help me. She was trying to help me because she saw things that I didn't see. She was my military aide on the opposite side, so she could see all my blind spots, right? But I didn't know. I just, for a long time, and I think
You
a
thought
lot
she was just working against you, just not
of
like
you feel like that. You feel like that until you learn the uniqueness of a person, and then you learn how to work together. And I know when to bring it to her, or she knows, okay, he's working through this right now. So I know it's not perfect, but I need to, maybe I should say this like this so that Jerome can know that, hey, it's a good idea. It just needs some work. And so when we learn each other, then we can just really complete the assignment that God has for us. But I think a lot of people quit before they get to
right.
before they understand that.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the whole thing about cleaving last week. It's ongoing. Like the cleaving is the learning each other as well. You know what I'm saying? Like getting to know her and know she doesn't mean any harm. You just said it wasn't mixed, and she said, "Hey, the Sopranos." You know, like
I can't hear it right. Like
Right.
I can't hear it yet. You want me to hear it? My brain won't let me hear it yet.
So,
yeah.
At what point, Jerome, you gonna stop bringing it to her, and you miss? You know she gonna say, "I can't hear that." You know, so that's on you to keep bringing it, but at the same time.
So there was a lot of return fire in that war camp, then, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it can be you can go through those seasons where you're learning each other. And I can even remember at the point where I understood. Sometimes you learn when you start having kids, and you start seeing that how your kids are. And I'm like, okay, she is just like me, or she's just like Tiffany. She's not just trying to be a certain way, to be mean, or she's built in a way. And if we learn how to use that to our advantage, and I think a lot of young couples, I don't know what we could do to help them understand that sooner, but the sooner you learn it, the better you are.
Amen.
And the more productive you can be. And we've been married for how long?
It'll be 24 years this year. You will have to experience some pain while you're learning that.
Yeah.
And
right.
that's a part of it. So nobody can, if you don't have the stomach to sit with some discomfort, especially in the early years of marriage.
That's the problem. Nobody wants to, they don't want to hunger that, you know, that hurt or whatever the case may be. So that's good.
And I think too, that's what I was saying. As you kind of lose the picture of you had in your mind, and I think life makes you lose that picture. You're like, okay, it's not gonna be what I thought it was. Even for my parents, it wasn't what I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? It was a beautiful thing, but it wasn't what I thought it was. The way, you know, it was. I know they might didn't argue in front of us, but I know they had some hard conversations.
Yeah.
And so what happens is once you lose that idea, you have to be willing to allow yourself to be molded, you know?
Yeah.
So I could look at her and say, well, she needs to change and become more like what I would like for her to be, or my idea of her. But that wasn't the case. I had to work on me, work on myself, and change my expectations, and even change who I was. So I had to lose a little bit of me.
Right.
And
that's maturity right there.
It's like iron sharpening iron when you get to that point where okay, I have to work on me. So now that I know that's how I see it, and that's the case with me and her. How am I not being what she needs me to be? You know, I had to ask myself that question.
Yeah.
And then the focus is on me, and I'm working on me, because I really can't change Tiffany. And Tiffany can't change me. And I married her, not my idea of her.
Come on.
Right? And so now what I have to do is love her. I have to love the one that I married.
That's what
while working on me.
That's what I was about to say. We miss the opportunity to love our actual spouse, trying to, like, mourning the loss of the spouse we wish we had, or trying to convert them or change them into somebody else. You're missing you're not loving the one you have.
Right.
Love the one you with.
I don't mean that in some weird toxic way. I mean, to love somebody
For real.
Is to love them. Is to love them as they are, who they are. Not, I love you if, I love you when. I love you, period.
Unconditional.
Yeah, unconditional. There's a lot of condition in there.
Period.
You know, so yeah.
And we feel like we're gonna lose something. There's fear in that sometimes, because we're like, but it's not right when but you didn't do right when but God has a blessing. There's a blessing, because something happens in me when I love him. And then the whole dynamic shifts. And so the thing you want is not achieved by trying to make the other person be or do it. It's achieved by you doing what Christ told you to do.
Come on.
Love your husband. Do that. It's going to take everything you got to do that. I promise you. It's going to take all of you to do that. But when you do that, the Holy Spirit is doing something in you, because you yielded to do that. And then you look up and you're like, oh, wait a minute, something's different. You know, something's different. It changes everything.
And I want to say too, especially to younger couples or any couples that's in a situation where, you know, maybe their idea or their expectations aren't being met for what they thought. You have to decide. You can make a decision to love your spouse. You can decide, I'm gonna see her in a brand new way for who she really is.
Yeah.
A lot of times, but we call it your avatar, right? You know how you create the profiles, and you can make it looks kind of like the person, but you know it's not really the person.
Yeah.
A lot of times I have an avatar for who she is in my mind, or what she looks like, that's not really her. And a lot of times we're talking to the avatar and we're not
Come on.
talking to
Come on.
the person. That's why we're arguing and we're fussing about things. And because I'm looking at, this is my idea of who Tiffany is. She,
Right.
you know, the avatar, my avatar would be saying she, you know, she don't want to hear my music, or she doesn't support me in this, when she's really, that's not who she really is. And so we make up these lies about the other person that's not true.
Come
and
on.
we don't really get to hear them out, or let them be who they are and say, hey, this is really why I'm saying this. This is why I'm doing this. I really love you and support you and want to see you do well. I want to see you grow.
Well, this is my best attempt at this time in my life to love you, is to give you this feedback to make you the best you can be.
Come on.
That's the way I'm loving you. And maybe I gotta learn a little bit more about how you want to be loved. But right now, this is how I'm loving you best. Is
Right.
giving you what I can give you to make you best.
Right. Absolutely. That's good. Y'all said, I heard y'all mention pain, you mentioned changes, you mentioned growing. And we've been on y'all for a long time. And these past 5 or 6 years, maybe 7, I don't know how long it's been, y'all have gone through some major changes in your life. Some major changes in your life. So can we talk about, in our time that this is really good, it's moving so fast. Can we talk about how you as a couple can survive through these major changes? Because when you don't know what's happening, what's going on, like just speak on that for me right quick, because y'all, how we met y'all is not what we seeing and looking at and seeing and witnessing right now today. Y'all speak on that for us.
I'll just say this in general, Jerome. You can pick up wherever you want to, but I think like major changes do a lot of couples in. Like do not underestimate the toll like life's changes. I feel like trauma is an overused word now, but some things really are like traumas. What I mean, you go through them and you do not come out on the other side the same. And I think we may all coexist in the same space, but my experience is not exactly his experience. When he lost his dad, I lost my father.
Oh, they the phone went dead or something went dead. Oh, that was good. Give him back. Oh, awesome. That was good. Wasn't that good?
That was real good.
Well, we lost Jerome and Tiffany. Oh,
She said, "Is she anything?"
I don't know, but Fred, this is helping
This is
you.
really good. Helping me too. Are they able to get back in or no?
I don't know. You know I'm not the techie. So
Well, that's on their end. I mean, it's nothing we can do
I
on this
don't
end as
even
far
know.
as that
They
is
probably
concerned.
have
But if
to
they
come
chime
back
back in, but yeah, they said some really good stuff, some deep stuff, what have you. We
what you like about that avatar thing?
I really can't speak to that too much. I mean, that's different though. I mean, I like the example that was given as far as the avatar,
because it looks like it.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
They back. They trying to come back.
What you doing?
I added them back. It was showing that they came back in, but that
But what?
That avatar thing, that was good. Because what we were just talking about that last week when I was like, I'm speaking to your context, which I think I'm saying, and then like you're commenting
which is kind of the
back.
same example. And a lot of times we come to the same conclusion, but we take different paths a lot of times. So
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get them back to finish up this.
But if not, we can just go ahead on and we can just recap. I got this new phone. I don't know how to work it. What is happening? But yeah, that was really good. You gotta come back. Come on. Oh my goodness, that we sit here talking about the avatar thing. Jerome, that was great. We just had this conversation. You back? Okay, here we go. Here we go. They back.
Are we back?
Yes, may I speak to Kelly, please?
Listen, we that was good. We started talking about the avatar thing, Jerome. That was that was good because I had just said to Fred about I had said something to him and I was like, I'm speaking to your context. You got this already in your head what you think I'm saying, and it's not. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that was so good. We said the avatar thing, so I was asking Fred about the avatar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did.
That was
different.
good.
That was good. But that's the creative side of him that I guess Tiff was talking about. You know what I'm saying? So he just stops. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember all the times in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Him having that joke. I call it Joker face. You know, someone could be doing the absolute worst, and this guy can say, he asked that same question. How you think you did?
Terrible. Terrible.
And the person was awful. He said, I think you did good. Let's do it again.
Right.
And it just plays over and over in my mind over the years that, you know.
So much Jerome that he would get on me and say, you see how Jerome does that? You know, you be, you know, because when we're in the studio, like Fred said, if it's not a good take, Jerome doesn't turn around like me and say, that wasn't good. Jerome say, how you think you did? You want, let's do it again. You know, and you just had a different way about it.
He's got that Kool-Aid smile on his face, you know what I'm saying? But I can't describe what you do as opposed to what he does, but his is more encouraging.
It is. I'm gonna be very, very direct and true. So that wasn't good. We need to do it again, and next time.
That's me. Come on, friends. Come on, friends. But I learned from that. We're different. Me and Jerome, we're different. I'm different in the studio.
But y'all the same thing.
Yeah, but he got a little more patience than me. But that ain't what we're talking about. Let's get back on track.
Well,
somebody
go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Somebody, what you was about to say, Jerome?
I was just gonna say, everything you're saying, it ties in though, you know.
Absolutely.
The difference, she is really direct, but there are times where I know that some people that we're, especially in ministry, I'm like, we need Tiffany in on this conversation because we're gonna get down to the root of it. We're gonna get down to the heart of it, to the truth of it. And there are times in my life where I need to hear it, and I need to hear it like that. I'm the kind of person, I'm gonna say it the best way, but that's not always the best way.
That's right.
You know, for somebody to hear what they need to hear. And I think we've learned from each other to, you know, I've been around us so long. There are times I'm having conversations with people and I just have to be really direct, and I've learned that. And I think that she's learned how to say it in a
soft
answer turns away wrath. I've learned that.
So that's what we were talking about, those changes. You were speaking on that. The changes that we've seen, y'all, is just different now. And being able to sustain and get through, like, you know, me and Fred, we just relocated. We just left our whole life in Orlando. We've relocated. That's a major change.
Major.
You know, major, right? Shut down my salon and everything. Major.
Right.
Okay. So speak to that. What you were saying. I don't know what you were saying, but that too. I was
even, you know, like those things, right? Like, as long as I've known you, I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a lot of years. You've been Kelly who does hair. You know, that's just what I've known you to be. And so if that's what I've known you to be, I know that's got to have been a really big thing in your life. And so to shut your salon down or to not be doing hair on a regular basis and have that kind of shift, even if it's, you know, for good reasons or whatever the reasons are, is going to be significant to you. That's a significant change to you. Fred may or may not really understand how significant it is to you because it's just been such a big part of who you are and how you move and what you've done and how you identify sometimes, right? Shifts like that are the same, you know, and for us, like lots of things have changed in the very, very, very important places in life, in family, in ministry, in the bedrock identity, heart of who and what you think you are places. You know what I'm saying? And so what you hold dear, what's important. We got kids that are like graduated from college now and one getting ready to go to college and they're in Petey has a whole grown-up job. And so like even what parenthood looks like is different. Like what what our place is, how much hands on, how much hands off. We still have to like maneuver through all of that. You know, what everything just looks very different. And so for, you know, to what you said, and I'll answer my way and he can, the last few years have been excruciating at times, would you say? At times?
At times.
And some of the most enlightening, God breathed, got the clearest revelation. I would say our relationship with God it's just been incredible. And so when I step back, I can't help but draw the lines and connect the dots between change and loss and pain and your relationship with God and drawing closer, and how a lot of that has taken off some of the false veneer, excuse me, baby, of who we think we are and gotten us down to what it is. And when you get down to what it is and you're safe with somebody in what it is, that's powerful.
That's what I was saying from the beginning. You have to understand what marriage is. Once you learn that, it's you deciding to do life with somebody. You get one life. You get one time to do this, right?
That's it.
And I believe that God has an assignment for everybody. And I believe that when God gave me Tiffany and gave her me, we were to help each other to complete the assignment that God has for us to complete. And so he brings these two individuals from totally different walks of life together as one to work together through ups and downs. And we have been through so many changes from in our early years, me losing a job and us losing a house. And one thing I try to tell people is make sure home is good and solid and stable and there's love in the home, because life is going to happen, right? And as God has you on hopefully this steady incline, there are times where you go down to come up, right? And you have to have somebody that's going to be with you through those times, that knows you, that loves you through those changes. And it's a part of growth. Change is a part of growth as you're growing, and you have these seasons where he'll pause and he'll work on you and he'll take you through some tough times, but it's all, so you got to have somebody on those bad days that will say, hey, it's going to be all right. We're going to be all right. We're going to make it through this. And you're on the same team and you're fighting together. And then through the good times, you coast and you're doing what you're doing. But you have to have somebody that God has assigned to you for your assignment, that will be there for you through those times where you just want to throw in the towel and give up. And that's why God put this person in your life. That's why you can't be playing with your relationship and the day-to-day relationship and getting along and loving each other and appreciating each other, because times are coming. When my dad was sick, and we as a family took care of him. You know, it was just not my dad. We all spending the night over there taking care of him. Through the whole thing, you have those seasons through ministry changes and where God is taking us. We have to just really be that support. And I'll say this too, as we're talking about changing and growth, I think it's important too that you're growing together, especially in God, right? Because I think a lot of times what happens in relationships, people grow apart. You know, I'm growing in this area and this person is not growing. I think you have to be intentional about growing together, studying together. When we got married, I would never have read a self-help book. When I met Tiffany, I'm like, why are you reading
nonfiction?
Yeah, it's nonfiction. That's like homework or something. What's you know? And so that
Homework.
it made me better. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is if she would have been growing and I'm not growing, what happens is you grow apart. You know, even in your knowledge of God.
Yeah.
You know, you're studying and you're growing. Hey, that's what's beautiful about what you guys are doing with this podcast. You're doing this together. It's a vision that God is giving you, and you're working through the ups and downs of it. It's you know, the joys and pains of it, because y'all have an assignment that God has for you. And it's better if you do it together than if you try to, you know, go in this direction and going in that direction. And I think for couples that are working through the changes of life that God takes us through to move us where he wants us to be, you just got to make sure you're going together and that relationship is solid. And you got somebody that can make you laugh when you feel like crying.
I think also, you know, and Jerome has said it several times, what we have a skewed idea of what marriage is. It's not some vehicle by which I just continually extract my personal happiness all the time. And so when I can't get my way, or I'm not happy today, the whole thing fails. That's like a really cheap that house is not going to stand when life starts blowing. There's he keeps talking about an assignment, you know. It's like it reminds me of that passage of scripture. Behold, I show you a mystery. I'm talking about man and wife, but I really speak concerning Christ and the church. It's like bigger than we're going to on a trip out of the country, or it's bigger than let's go out to eat and have a date. It's bigger than that. Something God is doing with this is bigger than that. When you accept that, the stakes are very, very, very high now. You know, how you move matters. When you accept that God is doing something bigger in the world through your marriage, bigger in other people's lives, that's bigger than whether or not you're happy today, or whether or not you feel like it or they feel like it's something larger, a larger part of his plan is taking place through that. You don't move flippantly. You're not careless. You know what I'm saying? It brings I call it a sturdiness. It's just it's grounded in what Jerome said earlier. It's decision. I have decided this is my husband till death do we part, barring some kind of craziness, or you know, this is my decision. I made it 23 and some change years ago. And every day I keep getting up, making the same decision over, over and over and over again. And that's what it is. Every day I just keep making the same decision. I just keep making the same decision. I just keep honoring what I said. I just keep honoring what I said I was going to do. And so it's not easy. Sometimes it's just, I said, this is what we said. Because today it doesn't feel like it. And Jerome got on my nerves really, really bad today, right? Or I did something that he didn't like today, and he's just not wanting to talk to Tiffany Michelle Malone today.
No.
But we make the decision every day.
Right.
We make the decision every day. And then you get, like I said, so many years in, and you look back and you're like, man, I'm glad I kept making that decision. I'm so glad I kept making that decision, because God was doing a million things I never even thought he was doing with my one little yes that I was making every morning. Yeah. I had no idea what he was doing.
And I want to say that because we have an assignment, you're right, because you guys have an assignment, the enemy wants to like stop it at any way he can with the little thing, big thing. He's like, I cannot let Jerome and Tiffany thrive. I gotta stop this. I gotta stop Fred and Kelly. And, you know, so you find yourself, like we're talking about with the Avatar and all this, arguing, fighting over things that's you don't even, by the end of it, you don't even know what you were talking about. So it's, and I just think about, you know, times, the hard times. What if you would have given up in the hard times, right? And just to see things that God is doing now, and just the relationship that we have at this stage of our marriage after 23 plus years. I mean, it's, you can only just thank God for where he has us and what he's doing as we are continuing to learn and grow. And we are in the thick of learning and growing, even right now, as we speak, and learning each other. But it's a beautiful thing when you allow God to do what he's trying to do in your life.
And I'd add this too, you know, there have been some difficult stretches, seasons. A decision changes everything. Decision. I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about a decision. And I say that for people who might be in a difficult stretch, or they might think they're at the end of something. A decision changes everything.
Yeah.
A decision to take a second look, to give it your all. Two people making a decision is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. A decision to see the whole thing differently. This is not some vehicle for my total personal fulfillment and enjoyment, although there is joy in being married. There is happiness in being married. There's there is, but there's also the reality that you rub up against somebody every single day who doesn't see the world the same as you. And sometimes that's not pleasant, right? There's also, you know, the tug and push and pull of, I think we should go this way. No, I think we should go this way. Well, we're going this way. Well, I don't want to go that way. Well, we're going. Okay, let me get myself together because we're going, right? And it's like, those are the realities of life. They're the realities of life. But a decision, decision, it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Well, I just want to say, time has been well spent. I just want to bring it to a close. We so appreciate you all coming on. And we've been talking about assignments and, you know, the importance of being suitable for one another, helping one another. And I just believe, I said it on the last show, I probably won't say it every time. If you have something that you know that is helpful, that can be shared, I believe we have a moral obligation to share it. That is part of the assignment, something you know. So I'm thankful for people like the Steve Covey, who writes The Habits and the Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. Right. I'm thankful for that author. I'm thankful for Darius Daniels with Relational Intelligence. Right. And Tiffany, last but not least, I'm thankful for you, your heart to serve, because you wrote a book, right? Your book is sitting right here beside me. It is called Surrender, The Unlikely Path to Purpose. So I'm thankful for your obedience. I'm thankful for you knowing that you found out something, God downloaded something on you, and you felt the need to share it. And I'm thankful because it's very helpful, and you all need to get this book and all the other called out. And don't forget to read the one inspired by God from all the 40 authors. That's important too, right? So I didn't call that out in the names, but I start with that one first. And then these are the help made to that, right? Putting it in some more practical terms. And so, Tiff, if you could leave us with something from the book that will help us in marriage, I think that'll be a good closeout. Just anything, something you could say that will help.
I'd say a lot of what I learned that I wrote in that book, I learned in marriage. And at the end of the day, I think God wants to change the way you see it, right? He wants you to see it the way he sees it. And if I had to leave one thing, you know, you asked me earlier what was the Neil appeal, right? That kind of thing. The most probably life-changing, convicting thing in that book was realizing that the word is always to me.
That's good.
Everything Jesus said, when I'm reading it, it's usually to me. Get the beam out of your eye. The beam is usually in my eye. Love your enemies is not something I tell you to do. It's something I do.
So, yeah,
and when we get our glasses on right and we read it and we say, oh, he wants me to do these things. Not me to tell Jerome he needs to do these things. He wants me to do these things.
That's right.
That's game changing, life changing, everything changing, everything all the time. That's transformation. Because it's going to take all I got, all the energy, all the time to do all the things that are to me. Especially that love your husband part. Love him. Not him after you tell him to do all the things you was already supposed to be doing, because the word is to you. And so when it just flipped everything on its head for me, and all the work was here first. When we do that, game changer.
I got something from the book that I want to share. It's a really good book. But I think a great takeaway for all families, married couples, is the thought from the book. I think the heart of the book is saying, I don't know and I'm not good. I don't know and I'm not good. When you get that, God can work on you, and we can surrender so that we can complete the assignment that he has on our life. As long as you think you know and you good, your marriage is doomed to fail. The day I understood I don't know and I'm not good,
God knows and God is good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Things change.
That's right. That's right.
That's my last 2 cents. My last $2.
The older we get, the less you know.
Yeah.
The more I know I don't know.
Yeah.
The more I know I don't know. Yeah.
So the Neils and the Malones appeal for this week. We're going to leave them with a good takeaway from today? I don't know. Do we want to go Avatar? Do we want to go Surrender? Do we want to go Grow Together? What are we going to be working on as couples this week, guys?
I think people should be aware when they're talking to the avatar instead of their spouse. I think that'll be good. Just am I talking to her for real? Am I listening to her, or am I speaking to
my idea of her?
My idea of something that I have in my head that's not really her. And how do we get rid of the distractions and the avatars and actually come together and hear each other's heart, you know?
Because wouldn't it be like disappointing if your spouse actually changed, like in the way you want them to, and you're still talking to the avatar? You wouldn't even know you've gotten what you wanted.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know. You have every day, you have to have fresh eyes. It's a humility of sorts.
Yeah.
You can't talk to them like you know what they're going to say. You have to come open-handed. And so.
This has been great.
Yeah, I mean, everything they said has been great. I mean, everything you said, we talk about being unevenly yoked. You have to be yoked in all aspects of your life. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's love, finances. I mean, your spouse is your roommate. I mean, you get this was beautiful. What have you? And Tiffany talked about that lens thing that you use, whatever. I try to tie it into something I heard earlier today or whatever, and I think it was something to do with what's blind, a person who can see but has no vision, and so and you have no vision. I mean, we can see to the corner, but God can see around the corner.
Come on.
We can see to the mountain, but God can see over the mountain. So
preach.
But no, if we allow him to, like you said, your book, that one word speaks for itself, surrender. And you talk about me, my, I. If we work on me, my, I, we don't get involved with trying to correct someone else's mistakes. I mean, we're all sinners, and we all make mistakes, and you learn from your mistakes, hopefully. But, have the humility enough to say, I'm sorry, that individual, if you, disrespect them in any kind of way or what have you. And then that's just what we owe to each other, to ourselves.
That's good.
So this was good.
We got to listen. We could go. It's 9:50. We could go on and on. This is crazy.
Yeah, they are.
I know they are. But the world, like you said earlier, Jerome, the world gets better. Just to go with you, the world gets better when you get better. Individually. We cannot control. That's what my book is about too. We can't control what people are saying or doing. We can only control ourselves. Y'all, we gotta stop. People gotta go to bed. This is so good though.
This is good.
This is so good. So I haven't watched the comments. We don't even have time for comments. We just gonna go back and answer. Can y'all go in and answer 2 or something? Go on the page and answer these questions. These people, we don't even have time for that, y'all. I love y'all. Before we end, Jerome, Tiff, let's play this real quick game right quick. I just want to play this real quick game right quick. It's called Most Likely To. Okay.
At the beginning.
No, because we started talking about something. But listen, I just want to see. Let's end like this on this. So y'all got to really, really quick. Right? And all you're gonna do is point to, if it's you, point to you. If it's him, point to him. Real quick. It's a real quick answer. Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
We're ready.
Yeah. Tiff don't want to play. It's called Most Likely To.
Okay. I'm up.
Here we go. We just got a couple. You ready?
Yes.
Who's most likely to spill food on their clothes? Who's most likely to order dessert? Who's most likely to, what's the fireworks in the back? That's cute.
Oh, no, you did that?
No, I did. You saw it?
That's the love we have for each other.
I thought that was like a right answer or something. Like
no, I don't know what that was, but we better get off of here for it. Do something. Come on, who's most likely? Huh?
Who's most likely
Go ahead.
what?
Who's most likely to fall asleep first?
Yeah.
You can't sleep now. 8:30.
Yeah, I'm getting sleep. Let's get this done.
Okay. All right. Tiff, you said something about the book. I love this what you said about Petey. You said Petey she bounced to the beat of her own drum.
He does.
I just want to know, between the two of y'all, which one of y'all is Petey? Does she get from?
She's a mix of both of us.
She is a perfect
down
the middle mix of both of us.
She is.
It just depends on the day.
Depends on the day and the situation.
Yes, that is so good. I thought y'all was gonna go point.
Who do you think she is?
I think she's you.
You think so?
Yes.
I think she's both of them. I mean, she's witty.
She's very witty.
She's very witty. But she's Jerome too, though.
Yeah, she is.
She can put on that face to where you don't know if she's serious or not. You know, it's that Joker face. I don't know what it is about that. You know, but
yeah,
it's good though. I mean, it's encouraging. You know,
good for holding telling a joke with a straight face. That's
that part.
She's funny to me. That's both of y'all though. Both of y'all funny. But listen, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. We love y'all. Thank you so much for your time.
She gave you a LOL in the live.
What about Junie? Say something about Junie. You gotta say something about Junie.
Who do you think?
I want to know about Junie. So y'all go to his games and stuff like that. Who's most likely if the referee makes a wrong call? Who's most likely to?
Listen, I had to apologize to about 3 guys the other day at the game. I said, I'm sorry you picked this seat in front of me, but that's my son out there, right? Wow. It is what it is.
Yeah, they should get it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We gotta go. We love y'all.
Love y'all.
We appreciate y'all. All right. Until next time. Don't forget what the Neil's Appeal is. Don't forget, go back and watch this. This has been a great. Jerome and Tiffany Malone have opened up their hearts to us, opened up their home, and shared some things. And I hope that we all learned something today from them being a part of this podcast today. So we love y'all. We appreciate you. We're gonna let you go. Until next time. We got our next guest. Look for the video coming up to show who our next guests are going forward. We love y'all. Thank you. Have a great night.